talking about rise and build. Let's talk about the NPP and the issues that come up again in that party and seeming also to dominate the flag bearers tour that he started, instead of focusing on how to garner, support. He's being forced once again, as has happened previously, to focus on issues of disunity that have come up within the party. Nana, what is going on that one of your members has made a complaint at the police station asking that the first vice chairman and someone be investigated for corruption within the party for setting up an account which the constitution of the party does not allow? And many Ghanaians are speaking up against the NPP for not being able to keep its act together.
Well, thank you, Samson. If many Ghanaians are upset about the NPP not being able to keep their act together, well, they are justified, because it is not any secret that the NPP is not keeping its act together. And the problem has been the steering committee's inability. And the steering committee is made up of just about 12 or 13 members. It has been their inability to come to an agreement as to how they will conduct their business that is creating all of these worries for the party. Right from day one, all the troubles and the worries that the party has gone through, right from the Tamale, right after the Tamale Congress that elected the current steering committee, it has just been those executives on the steering committee not being able to come to an agreement as to how they will conduct their business. First, it was the powers to remove officers. It was the powers to move officers to go on leave, security changes, appointment, the conduct of parliamentary primaries. Right at the steering committee, as we speak, the current issue is about disagreement at the steering committee level as to how party accounts, bank accounts, should be administered. They haven't come to an agreement on that. At the last meeting that they had about 2 weeks ago, the issue came up as to the operation of party accounts and who has what powers and who hasn't got what powers. At the National Executive Committee, which is a much larger body than the steering committee, this came up. And the National Executive Committee appointed 5 people to go into those matters. The issue of the operation of the party's accounts, who has powers to sign checks or issue vouchers, and so on and so forth.
Okay, answer these direct questions. The gentleman who reported the issue to the matter to the police, Banchanfo, says, and I quote, "I picked information that a secret account has been opened at EcoBank Trust Towers branch, and that Mr. Freddie Blay and Abankwa, the national NPP treasurer, are the signatories to that account. I know, and I have gone through my party's constitution, and there is nowhere in the constitution that the national treasurer or the first vice is mandated to open an account in the name of the party. 5.2 million Ghana cedis was paid into the account, which was the party's hard-earned money. And out of that, about 5.1 million cedis has been withdrawn. Has the treasurer and the first vice, do they have the power to operate an account separate from what is known to be the party's account?"
Okay. You see, Samson, I don't know if it would be useful to go into the merits and demerits.
The facts.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be useful, because there's a committee, as we speak, appointed by the National Executive Committee to look into these very same matters. The committee is made up of the Honorable Ajimamenu, the Honorable Akutu Osei, the Honorable Osei Wusu, popularly known as Joe Wise, the Honorable Professor Jambafo, and Ohini Into.
They're looking into what?
These same matters. The operation of the party accounts, who opened what account has been opened, who has authority to open accounts, who has authority to sign checks, and all of that. Those are the matters they are going into.
Now, you don't know your constitution and what it says about this.
No, I'll come to that. And the chairman of this committee, appointed by the national chairman, is Ohininto. And the committee has been sitting over the last 1 week. So these are the very issues they are going into. If you want me to, in deference to you, you want me to go into the merits of the so-called petition to the police, that the gentleman is saying that according to his reading, the first vice and the treasurer cannot sign checks or something.
They have opened a separate account and are managing same.
I can tell you categorically that no new account has been opened. No new account has been opened. It's an existing party account operated, at least I know, since the days of McMahon, 2007, 2008. I know that, and I can tell you that categorically. So if anybody comes to say that that account is a secret one, is not authorized, I can tell you that is not true. But I don't want to go into the merits because the committee is looking into it. Even the police too say they want to help us to look into it. So but I'm saying to you that all of these issues about operations of party accounts and all of that is a result of the disagreement at the steering committee level to come to an agreement as to how they will conduct their affairs. And this disagreement over party accounts and their operation is just another instance of the steering committee's inability to agree as to how they will conduct themselves. And it's causing a lot of pain for many parties' supporters, that the people who have been elected and the parties put the confidence in them are not able to come to an agreement as to how they will conduct themselves. And that disagreement spills over into the public space and worries many party members. This bank account thing is just a symptom of that same inability of the steering committee to agree as to how they will conduct themselves.
Dr. Atta Kobina Kennedy, who once ran for flag bearer of the NPP and who was also in charge of communications one time, has written an article, and part of his issue is that this presents the NPP an opportunity, particularly the flag bearer, to justify the claim of his incorruptibility, that the issue ought to be allowed to be investigated by the police, but he has issues. He says that it does appear that too many issues come out of the party and Freddie Blay is associated with it. And he says this is what happens if you allow people into the party without checking their background properly. And he's speaking to Freddie Blay. Then he ends by saying that where is the NPP flag bearer? Who is the leader of the party while accusations are traded about secret accounts and significant doubts are being cast about the commitment of him and his party to accountability? It appears that it is time for the NPP flag bearer to step up and give Ghanaians a glimpse of leadership, of the leadership he will provide in 2017 if he was elected. He's simply saying the issues have to do with leadership, and Nanado has failed so far.
Well, it's like somebody saying that Atta Kennedy failed in 2 elections, so he has failed himself. But listen, Samson, can anybody point to just one? Maybe I haven't taken notice, but can anybody point to one thing that the flag bearer has done or said that could be interpreted as causing a crisis in the party or amounts to leadership failure? Just one thing that he has done or said. in this current matter of the bank accounts. The flag bearer has not spoken. What is actually done is to execute his mandate to deliver the presidency to the party. And he's embarked on that. That's what he's done. He hasn't hindered any investigation. He hasn't asked for any investigation. Indeed, he was part of the National Executive Committee that set up a 5-member team to go into these very same matters. He was part of it. He was part of that meeting that set up the chairman of the party appointed the chairman of that committee, Ohinin Toh. So the whole party is united on what has to be done as far as these accounts are concerned. So I don't see what the Atta Kennedy is seeking to do by bringing in the flag bearer. You see, something, when you are the flag bearer of a party in opposition, you are given the title of leader. It is not the same as a person having executive authority. Because the executive authority is clearly defined in the party's constitution. The party's constitution does not give the flag bearer any executive role. Even his own choice of a running mate has to be approved by the National Council of the party. He cannot make any appointment in the party. He has to go to the National Executive Committee of the National Council of the party. So when you seek to put the flag bearer in the middle and say he has failed as leader, you don't understand the operation of the NPP's constitution. Look, when you have the case that our brothers fortunately see themselves in government, and you have the president, who is also the leader of the party. When you are the president, you can hire and fire. So if people are not behaving properly, and their bad behavior is hindering the government or the party, they can fire them. The flag bearer cannot fire anybody. If the flag bearer, for example, thinks that Nana Akomia are not happy with the work that he's doing as communications director, he cannot fire me. He has to make a complaint to the National Executive Committee, who will then go into the matter. You see?
I think his concern, like most Ghanaians, is that because Ghanaians are looking to the NPP, that if you do have the opportunity, you give Ghana, credible governance. And that's the concern is that there have been just too many problems within the NPP under his watch. And that he, as the leader, ought to be seen to be able to demonstrate the ability to, seal all of these cracks.
Something beyond telling you about some of the things that the flag bearer on his own, with the whatever moral strength that he has, beyond the ones that are done away from the public, in meeting people. Recently, we heard of President Kufuor himself getting together senior religious people to sit all the members of the steering committee down and try and get them to work together.
Because
we heard about
Nana had failed to be able to bring them together, isn't it?
I'm just saying these are the public ones. There are numerous ones that don't even come into the public. That I can publicly, we all had a flag bearer after the terrible killing of the chairman in Upper East. We all had a flag bearer. Beyond speaking to people, beyond cajoling people, beyond appealing to people, what are you going to do? Because you can't sack anybody. The flag bearer cannot suspend anybody. He cannot tell the women organizer that you are misbehaving, so I have suspended you. He has to go to a committee that has that right. So Atta Kennedy is confusing the functions of an executive president with that of a flag bearer who hasn't got an executive function in the way the NPP is structured. And my last point is that, you see, it's not just the NPP. When you are in opposition, you face the same realities. And the NDC, when they were in opposition from 2001 to 2008, when they were not in office, we all saw what happened. We all saw because we don't have a long, and I don't want to go into the recitation of the kind of things that happen. But it shows you that when you're in opposition, it's a different thing from when you are in office and then you have a leader who also has executive power. Look, these same things happen, some of them happened between the period 1997 to 2000. in the NPP. And then things became relatively quiet and smooth between 2001 and 2008. And the NDC was going through turmoil. And now they are in office, so it's smooth. So Arthur Kennedy is confusing the role of an executive person as against the role in the party position.
He speaks the minds of many people who expect to see a lot of sanity within the NPP.
A lot of,
yes.
I have explained the same.
And I have said, for example, that I scan through social media and other things, and I see Dr. Bawumia all over the hinterlands doing a lot of work within the, the meeting with the grassroots and winning, hearts to himself. He's using his own pocket money to do development projects like boreholes. And he does all of that for, like, say, 2 months. And then the guys who are sitting in Accra in their air conditions create one problem, and that becomes the news. That's unfortunate.
I agree with you. And
but how long is that going to continue? Because it's bad for you going into the elections.
Samson, in my opening statement, I agreed with you. And I said that it's unfortunate that the problem persists.
Okay.
My beef is that somebody trying to put a flag bearer at the center
should show leadership.
But otherwise, I agree with you that it's failure on the part of the steering committee.
Dr. Park, there are those who are even suggesting that, look, what Arthur Kennedy is saying, let's look at it more critically. Now, Nana is on his Rise and Build tour, and Paula Foko is not with him. Kobne Japong is not with him. And it's usual of what we have seen him do in the past without these critical executive members.
No, if I'll just deal with this executive, I think the question should have been posed rightly to me.
Yeah, they allow him to respond.
Samson, this is not the first time a flag bearer of NPP is going on a nationwide tour for whatever reason. It happened in 2008. In 2008, I didn't see the chairman of the party at that time and the general secretary at that time going all around with him. In 2012, he went on about 4 or 5 nationwide tours. I didn't see the chairman of the party, Jacobecha Bilante, and the general secretary at that time, Sir John, going with him. So I don't see why an issue can be made out of it today.
So that's an issue.
The chairman of the party should be following the flag bearership in the constituency from constituency. He may want to join him at some point, but to say that he has to be with him, and if he's not with him all the time, then there is failure. How can anybody make that kind of assertion?
Okay.
So next time the flag bearer is having lunch, they'll say, where's the child?
Yes, let's hear you.
Well, Samson, I think that I must commend Nana Komia, the Director of Communications for the NPP, for being candid and honest.
Objective.
I am always
an objective.
Please, allow me to commend you. I'm not sure there's anything wrong with that.
I come here to be objective.
I hear you. In admitting that indeed, his party is facing some serious challenges in as far as internal cohesion, unity is concerned. And it is very worrying. If you look at the trajectory of developments in the party, as he himself has narrated, all the way to the campaign, to the selection of party officers in Tamale. Of course, we can't forget of the selection of the flag bearer, the initial denials of entrenched camps and, internal competition, obviously to undermine each other. And all of these recent developments, you cannot avoid, with all apologies, placing this squarely on the doorsteps of the flag bearer of the NPP. He is the leader of the party. It is his responsibility to do whatever is possible, to adopt whatever means possible, to try and unify his party, to demonstrate to the good people of Ghana that he has what it takes to lead a party.
Nana says he's doing that and he doesn't have to do that on Newsfile.
But that is the problem. It is not working. It is simply not working, and we must face the truth. It's one thing saying it, and it is another thing for the people to see the practical evidence that the effort has been a colossal failure. And I think that is why I agree with Arthur Kennedy.
You know, we're having a discussion.
Yes.
So I wanted just a little clarification.
Okay.
President Mahama. So the CD is falling by almost 300% during the NDC. It's President Mahama's fault. When we say it, you say no. Dumso has been with us throughout the tenure of John Mahama. When we say it's his fault, it's his failure of leadership, you say no. Corruption has been so rampant that even your own members, and I can give you the quotations, are crying loudly about corruption. When we say it's the fault of John Mahama, failure of leadership, you say no. And yet in somebody's case, you say yes, it's leadership.
Can I?
Yeah, he asked you. You
yes,
gave him the opportunity.
No, I have. It's fair. And
yes.
Well, we are tackling all of these issues. If you talk about the issue of the city, the president and government are doing their best to address it.
That's on his
The
question.
issues of Dumso, we have admitted it. We are working to address it. We have shown a united front. We certainly are not destroying each other.
You say you wanted to answer.
In the manner,
it's not about tackling
in the manner
depreciation
that,
and the rest.
in the manner that they cannot. Clearly, it is from their own camp that they have demonstrated their inability to be united behind a single leader, to the extent that the animosity between the highest echelons of the party, accusations and counter-accusations, is in the public domain. I mean, when you have the first deputy chairman openly accusing the chairman and the secretary of engaging in acts of impropriety, you have a member of the party even going to an investigative body to lodge a complaint about the impropriety of an account and who can be a signatory. You have a situation where the leader supposedly is on a tour known as Rise and Build, and I think that it should be meant Rise and Build because his house is in tatters. The people of Ghana truly cannot see him and his party as an alternative. Look, these are the truths. They better admit it and then invite those who have the capacity to help them unite their front. The problem is that the most successful entity in the Busia Dankwa tradition is Excellency former President Kufuor, who certainly has what it takes to be able to help them unite. He himself has been vilified by one side or the other. And if you cannot have a united front, you are accusing yourselves of engaging in acts of corruption. Other components of the party are even blaming MPs for not making their contributions to the welfare of the party. How truly do you believe that Ghanaians are going to entrust you with the destiny of this country when your own people are saying that there is corruption within your party? So the truth is that they can tickle themselves and laugh until they can demonstrate to the good people of Ghana that they are capable of presenting a credible alternative, and unity is key. Quite clearly, I can see why the people of Ghana are even going to consider them for 2016. Ideally, I should be jubilating. I should have a white handkerchief doing a victory dance. But, you know, as a Democrat, I think that a credible, united front in opposition certainly augurs well for the growth and future of our democracy. And it is also very important that they are united, because some of these occurrences, whether it is the invisible forces versus the bulldogs, whether it is the machetes at the party headquarters, whether it is the lack of the presence of the chairman and the secretary in Talensi, all of this doesn't augur well for peace. And as a government, we have a right to ensure that there is freedom of association. But even more than that, there is peace in almost every organized group. And that is where I worry. Not because I think that they are capable, as they themselves have demonstrated, to provide a united front. And I have to agree with Arthur Kennedy. It is a colossal failure of leadership by their flag bearer.
But you haven't answered in your case. Is it
I'm not obligated. I'm not obligated to answer.
No,
I don't.
Nana,
you are saying we're having a discussion.
Again, sometimes this is what you do. When I press you on an issue over and again, I don't get a denial or a rebuttal. I take the non-denial, non-rebuttal deliberately. I take it as an admission. So we move on.
You mean APAC has admitted?
Yeah, you say that when you put it on the president as the ultimate to take the blame, they have problems. He doesn't deny that. So you move on, right?
You haven't denied it?
But you can't force him to react to it.
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
You want to be silent.
Now let's look at it from this way, from the point of view of the law, that a member of the party by Chanfo, well, he's being said alleged to have been sponsored by the chairman of the party to go to police and make a complaint about this, what he feels to be some corruption going on or some wrongdoing financially. We know by the Supreme Court's ruling in 2000 of Yevi and Avelifo that a party's finances ought to concern the state, and so you can take an action in that regard. When Dr. Obeda Samoa and the missing money, you remember. Now, what do you say about the gentleman simply going to the police, making a complaint, and the police inviting Freddie Blay and co. without further, examination of what he brings to them?
Something, but you made a point that it's alleged the chairman is behind the complainant.
Yes.
We have no evidence.
That's the allegation. That's why I said it's alleged.
By who? Because the chairman himself appointed this team to go into this very matter.
Okay.
So how can he be behind somebody?
That's why it is an allegation. In fact, some of the media houses report without saying alleged that it is Afoko who has reported
but that's unfortunate.
To the police.
There's no evidence to it.
Exactly. So
So
that you simply go to the police and say there's something wrong with our party, and the police starts to invite people. Is that what should happen?
In support of our Velifo, I think if you read Article 55, 14A, that the political party shall declare their revenues, assets, and sources of such revenues and assets publicly, and also publish annually, publicly, their audited accounts.
Right.
So it means that the people of Ghana are interested in how a political party is funded and how and where and sources of their revenue, because it can also be a conduit for corruption or to enable non-Ghanaians to decide for us who should be our president. And so it's important that even non-members of the party be interested in their financing. And so I see nothing wrong with a member of a party or even an individual just going to the police that he believes that someone has committed a criminal offense or about to commit a criminal offense. And it is the duty of the police, upon reasonable suspicion, to also investigate that and probably cause arrest. So
in this specific instance, he goes to the police and says there's an account being opened at EcoBank. These people don't have the mandate by the Constitution to open the account. There was 5.2 million Ghana cedis put in that account. Out of that, 5.1 million of that money has been moved out of that account. Is that sufficient enough for the police to proceed to call Freddie Blay and the rest and say, come, we are doing investigation? And Freddie Blay actually outrightly said he was not going to respond to their invitation. If they want, they should arrest him. In fact, it is Freddie Blay who alleged that it is Paul Afoko who is behind this.
Well, as I said, the question is whether the police have a reasonable suspicion that somebody is about to commit an offense, stealing, whether it's from a private person or from the state coffers. The police can investigate. And if they think that the information given them by a complainant is enough to arouse any reasonable suspicion, there is no problem with they now inviting these persons to investigate whether or not the information they receive is even credible or is a set of facts on which criminal prosecution or proceedings can be founded. So I think it's important to see, and that is why I'm surprised that this whole thing has been overblown to the extent that people are saying it's a party matter. Graphic calls it old wounds being opened and things like that. I fail to see how that in any way can be extended to be a problem within the party. But my position...
Unless you have not heard Freddie Blay.
Oh, well,
if you have heard him,
yes,
you find that the graphics position is justified.
Well, if Freddie Blay is also accusing someone else, he, as a citizen, he knows too well, better than I do, maybe, that when you are aware that a person has committed an offense, you have a duty to make a complaint to the appropriate institution. So if he knows of the commission of an offense and he is not making that known by procedure prescribed by law to the appropriate institution, he himself is committing an offense.
Misprision of crime.
Yes. Now, but my asset citizen whose assets will be vested in a person as a trustee, I am not so much concerned about the activities or actions of a political party, except it relates to a person they are going to present to me to choose as the person who should be my trustee. And so whatever goes on in a party as to their own money being stolen or their own misappropriation of their own private money, I have very little concern about that. Because the point is
that party potentially will form a government.
Well, that party never forms a government in Ghana. There is no law anywhere that I'm aware of which states that in Ghana a political party forms a government.
What's the reality? I don't know what you're talking about.
No, well, it's one of those, what I believe to be one of those misrepresentations, with all due respect, that is gaining currency and becoming the law. I mean, if you read Article 57, the powers of government are vested in a person. It doesn't matter whether he is a member of a political party. Article 257 vests the natural resources of this nation in a person called president.
The president who is sponsored on the ticket of a party.
The law is that he may be sponsored, but it doesn't mean that it is the party that is in power.
It is the basis the Supreme Court allowed the NDC to join the election petition.
Well, they could have also allowed anybody who thinks that he had an interest in that particular case to also join it.
No, they denied members who wanted to join.
Well, but because the party already had joined. But the point I'm making is that I am concerned about an individual. Because a private person like a Kwadonko or myself can become a president of Ghana.
Right.
You understand? And I'm more concerned about that. And not what a group of people are talking about. I'm more concerned about how the public's money is being misapplied, how the state, the appropriate persons are not applying the laws when it comes to financial discipline. That is what concerns me. Okay. So they can do all they can. I'm saying that let them present an appropriate person to me so that I can choose from. As to their private matters, they are so internal, with the exception of what Article 55 in the Supreme Court is saying. But I'm saying that even with that, I have very little concern about how they manage their resources. But I'm more concerned about how the state, through its agents, manages my own resources that is vested in them. So let them deal with that. That's why I have no problem with an individual ignoring, as you put it, an Accra-based conflict and going to the public, to the rural areas.
Interesting. Now, Kuku, another important premise from which we can continue the discussion is why the issuance of the press statement in the first place by Paul Afoko.
Well,
talking about his commitment to fight corruption within the party.
Yeah, maybe he's the best person to answer, or the spokesperson who issued that statement. But I have to be very candid with you. That statement was empty. It's a statement that everybody makes. The last time I checked, there's no chairman of a party, general secretary of a party, or a politician, for that matter, who hasn't publicly expressed his commitment to fight corruption. So really, it was too generalized. It was too blank. And I was wondering where it was coming from. Of course, it was also made a mixed bag. For instance, the point about MPs having seized their contributions. I was wondering, what was the relevance of that? If you are talking here of the corruption fight and things. So the whole thing was hodgepodge.
The MPs are supposed to be contributing 500 Ghana cedis a month.
Yeah.
And they have stopped since February. Osei Mensabonso explains, he's reported as having explained that they did so because they wanted to use that money to support themselves for the primaries.
Yes, so where was the relationship between that and corruption, the fight against corruption, when that statement was put out? There was something wrong with the statement.
But that's where, this is where it has brought us.
So, yeah, so for me, I do not put much premium on that statement relative to the issues we are discussing. I think it's completely something that can be ignored. You know, see, my brother, this matter, the police are supposed to be investigating. The party itself has set up a subcommittee to investigate. So we have a investigation process underway. Quite interesting.
We don't know if the police have abandoned theirs, because when they invited Freddie Blair and co, who said, arrest us or we will not come, we haven't heard anything again.
Interesting. The police state wrote to the national chairman of the party. Right. I'm sure you've seen a copy.
That is so.
And the last paragraph is, no, let me read it because it's very short. Request for investigation. The CID headquarters is investigating the case of alleged diversion of NPP funds by the first Vice National Chairman, Mr. Freddie Blair, and Treasurer of the party, Mr. Bankwaya Boab, contrary to laid down party procedures. 2, you are therefore kindly invited to meet the investigation team at the CID headquarters on Friday, 28th August 2015 at 10 a.m. to assist investigations. This invitation is extended to the chairman of the party. Has he responded or not? What if he has? What was the content of his response? If he has gone beyond the response, a formal response, but appeared, has he written a statement? If he did, what was the content of the statement? I'm in blank space here, but I raise these issues because it is this chairman who heads the National Executive Committee that has set up a party subcommittee to investigate this very matter, in addition to other matters, I am told. But this is part of it. The EcoBank thing is part of it. Then the issues, I think Akomia was hinting, who must sign what, who must be, open what, and all those things. But it's purely financial administration of the party. So here we are, we don't know. Because you know, if the chairman had responded, I'm going to be a bit speculative here, a bit hypothetical. If the chairman had responded to this, I would expect the chairman to indicate to the police that this particular matter is before us and we are investigating. And that perhaps after we finished, if there is any criminality, as alleged in your letter, we'll refer the matter to you because the NPP cannot prosecute criminally. We all know that the mandate belongs to the police to do the criminal prosecution and investigations. Now we are in blank space. One does not know whether the chairman has actually, and if the chairman has done anything, even if he didn't respond, I suppose he would inform the party of the receipt of this letter and its impact on whatever the party subcommittee is doing, at least to inform the party subcommittee. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's the gray area we need to interrogate. But are we really not, have we so soon forgotten that this same gentleman who has lodged this complaint was the one who came up with the so-called Prudential Bank secret account? Have we forgotten? I expect the police, when such things come, to do a preliminary evaluation of the complainant and the complaint to establish a certain basis for even triggering investigations. Otherwise, look, the police may be saddled with all sorts of frivolous complaints coming from across the political divide, and then they will be confronted with the challenge of consistency.
That's the question I actually put to Marlene Senior here, because as a practitioner, you would find that sometimes the way the police does these things is very selective, depending on how you look and what sort of shirt you are wearing or who you know within the place. Someone may come in the morning, make a very small complaint, and about 4 or 5 police persons will follow that person early morning to your house, arrest you and take you out of the place. Meanwhile, some other person will make the complaint just by a phone. And the other person on the other party the complaint is made about will just have another phone call asking him on an invitation to come to the place.
So just as the Prudential Bank secret account thing fizzled out because it had no substance, This gentleman claimed that even the party headquarters had been mortgaged or had been used as collateral, if you recall, and that within 2 months, if the thing wasn't paid, the headquarters would be sold. So I'm talking here credibility of the complainant. Check. What has been the history of NPP financial administration? Now, clearly, as has been established, that account is not a new account. So the point that 2 persons had gone to open a new account without reference to the party is false. It's an account, as Akomia told you, had been in existence over 12 years now. It just became dormant. If you read the NPP constitution, the treasurer is the one mandated to handle, that is Article 9G. Right. The history of NPP accounts has been that 4 signatories are listed. The chairman, the vice chairman, the general secretary, and the treasurer. The only constant factor there is the treasurer. So he can sign with any one of them. He's the constant. He's responsible to the finance committee. Now, this particular account, in reactivating it, quote unquote, by putting in money, and the gentleman tells you that it was 5.2 and that 5.1 has been withdrawn. That's false. That's false. The only withdrawal that has been made out of that account is the money they took to Talensi. The 4-point-something left has been used to buy treasury bills, and it's unavailable for anybody's personal use. Okay? So here we are. Somebody comes, he puts this, but he's put this before the party. Other matters have been put before the party. This matter is being investigated. The police comes in, and I'm not about to challenge the police mandate to say that we think that so, even though left to me alone, I think a certain preliminary check would have told the police that let's hold our fire. And if the chairman has also told the police things going on, the police will hold his fire. And on basis that if the party finishes its investigation and there is criminality, the matter will be referred to the appropriate state agency to deal with.
From what you are saying, then first of all, the party didn't also need an investigative committee, just like the police may also have just rushed without doing the basic checks.
No, the party,
because my first question when I heard it was that the first thing the police would do is to establish the existence of this account with EcoBank number 1, establish the balance in that account, and how much the guy claims was put in that account at which point, and how much of that money has gone out.
I've just told you that the party is not dealing with exclusively only this matter.
Okay.
They are dealing with other matters. They put it together. And in fact, it is good that the party would look at all those issues. These are complaints, these are allegations being made by party members. It's creating more chaos within the party. As Akwemia said, it's key relative to the functioning of the steering committee. So a higher body, which is the National Executive Committee, must deal with it, must resolve it. So he says, look here, let's take a look at all these things. Okay, so I think it's proper that they did so. The truth is this, and it's part of the point Akomia was making. I can understand why Akomia was economical. It has to be. He's a party official, you know. See, as we speak, there's an instruction that the chairman of the party and the general secretary of the party have sent to some of the banks that hold their accounts, particularly the Ghana Commercial Bank, instructing that it is only the chairman and the general secretary who will be signatories to those accounts. This excludes the treasurer. So it means the treasurer too has been complaining. All these matters must be resolved at the level of a committee inquiry so that the executive committee will have a basis to take a decision. The treasurer, this EcoBank thing, he sent the mandate card from EcoBank to all the 4 listed officers, okay? The vice chairman signed, because if you look at the documentation, the vice chairman is part of the signatories, so he signed. Apparently, the treasurer took it to the chairman and the general secretary. Upon citing the signature of the vice chairman, the 2 declined to sign the EcoBank mandate. because they want the vice chairman excluded from it. So that is how come the EcoBank account now has 2 signatories. Now, the question to ask is whether that violates party procedure. No, it does not. No, let me finish. It does not. And the withdrawal that has been made there, again, asks, did it have the requisite approval? The Talency budget withdrawal. That withdrawal, the budget itself, was determined by a majority of the national officers of the party, including the parliamentary leadership. The chairman was absent. But the general secretary, the second vice chairman, the chairman were not in the jurisdiction. Nobody can hold a party to ransom because you are out of the jurisdiction or you are unable to attend a meeting. The question to ask is that those monies taken to Talency, were they properly applied? But see, these are all in their constitution based on auditing processes and things. So all these things must be done before you can begin to say that a criminal act had been committed. And when that is established, the police will be invited to come and take over. Look, it's a journey to nowhere.
A journey to nowhere indeed. And you see, the people even within the party, there are things that Dr. Park speaks about, and about the deep-seated, differences. I'm just being charitable. Differences within the party, and how the questions of agenda to destroy one or the other is all being played out in this. Let me read you this message. This one says, "You cannot wake up a man who is pretending to be asleep. If there are national officers who have an agenda to make the flag bearer fail, there is very little he can do. Is this not curious? The National Council sets up a committee to investigate a matter. After that, the flag bearer announces a rise and build tour. Suddenly, a certain Bar Echamfor runs to the police and lodges a complaint on the same matter, which is a subject of the investigation. Then a certain Nanaya Osei, spokesperson for the chairman Paul Afoko, issues a statement saying the chairman is committed to fight corruption in the party. Ask for the evidence of attempts to divert attention from what the flag bearer is doing." So this message, and I won't tell you who is sending it, obviously tells you that this is the understanding of what is going on. The flag bearer intends to undertake a tour. The way to divert attention is to bring in all of this ugly stuff, and then you spoil it for him. And this has been happening on a sustained basis. We'll take a break. We'll return to look at other matters, but not before, after I have read to you some of the messages that have come in.